All right, guys. Well, it's a couple minutes past 9 here. I'm going to get started. This is Alex Scandalis. I want to thank you guys for joining us tonight. This will be a brief one. Just wanted to talk to you a little bit about some of the things that are going to be happening here in the next few days. Wanted to start the call by thanking Danny especially for working with all of you guys through availability and all of your travel plans and all those kind of things. That's not an easy task. And through the process here, trying to mute that line. Hang on, guys. Okay. Through the process here, we've had a couple of different people on our end, Brian DeBrouwer and Chris Marshall and John Porter, helping us, weave through what is a very large project in getting assignments out to you guys. Lastly, and probably most importantly, I want to thank all of you guys for really helping through the process, providing availability, providing flights and driving times and housing arrangements and all those type of things. We are really hoping that, RussMatt continues or for the first time is an enjoyable experience for all of you that will be coming down. Couple administrative things to get out of the way quickly. Tomorrow evening at 9 Eastern, we'll have another call, and this call is only for those umpires using RussMatt housing. So that's at 9 p.m. tomorrow night. Probably be about a half an hour. We just want to go through some housing things as it relates to using RussMatt housing and making sure we have some dates straight and all that sort of thing. The other administrative note I have here is February 21st, which is, I believe, a week from Thursday. We're going to do a mandatory general procedures conference call, and that'll be at 8 o'clock. I will send out a reminder on that, but I want you all to put it in your schedules, February 21st at 8 p.m. Certainly understand that people have work engagements at night and things like that, but everything you can do to make yourself available for that call would be greatly appreciated. In terms of NCAA testing, Chris Marshall and I received a copy today of everyone that took and passed the NCAA test. Obviously, that is not a requirement to work at this tournament. However, if you did not take and pass that test with the NCAA, we will be providing a secondary test to you guys that did not do that, and we would ask that after seeing the instructions that you guys take it and submit it back to us. Just with 2019 being such an intensive rules change year, we just think it's really important for everyone to get their nose in the rule book, especially given that February will be the time of year that these coaches are getting acclimated to the new rules, and consistent enforcement at this time of the year is really important to set the base for them in the conference season. So for those of you guys that don't take and pass that test with the NCAA, we'll just have a secondary test for you. So kind of getting into the crux of the call here, at the conclusion, we are going to release the schedule for the 2019 RussMatt tournament. The first thing I'll want you guys to realize is the MAC arbiter, where all the games are, is set up a little bit differently than maybe some of the arbiter systems that you guys have seen in the past. When you log on to your schedule page, your schedule will appear in yellow, as it does in every arbiter group that you're a member of. But these games will not actually give you an option to accept or decline. When you look at your schedule, once you click the submit button, they will all auto-accept for you. Now, that doesn't mean that we're holding you into every single game or you can't make changes. It's just simply the way the system is set up. So I just want everyone to be aware of that. So when you don't have that auto, or when you don't have the accept decline button that you guys are used to, that you don't freak out. So I'm not sure how many different arbiter systems are set up that way, but ours is, and I just wanted you guys to be aware of it. After considering all of the requests we got, flyers, drivers, who wants to work with who, who wants this day off, that day off, and we certainly respect and try to make the schedule fit as much as we can. Our goal was to make sure that when people are in Florida, that they are working baseball games. And our standard for that was trying to keep every single person that wanted to work between 1.5 and 1.75 games a day. So obviously we can't work a part of a game, but the overall goal was to have as few single days as possible for umpires. Okay, so what does that ultimately mean on the back end? Well, we tried to look at all the requests. We tried to make the schedule fit. Some of you guys who were driving down and using RussMatt housing, instead of 17 days that you requested, you might be down for 14. Or instead of 20, you might be down for 17. And all of those things were taken into consideration to try to put out a schedule that's fair, that's considerate of everyone that applied, considerate of the people that have been with RussMatt for a very long time, and we appreciate your continued service. And at the end of the day, it's not going to be perfect. I promise you it's not going to be perfect. But the last week or so of my life and a few other people's lives were spent trying to make it as good as possible for everybody involved. So just keep that in mind when you take a look at your schedule and maybe there's one or two things that you're not so thrilled with. And I really want you to consider the schedule when you look at it from not only your own perspective, but from a global perspective, from the perspective of all the other umpires that are with you in this together and also with our organization. All of that being said, I understand that there may be a certain number of officials that, because of being cut back, maybe the RussMatt experience doesn't work out for them anymore. And if that's the case, certainly let's talk about it, but understand that there's no hard feelings. We're trying to work with you, make it as good as we can, and ultimately if something doesn't work for you personally, we understand that. So don't feel like you're locked into something. If it wasn't what you expected or what you hoped for, and it just doesn't work financially or doesn't work for your time, we certainly understand that. So keep that in mind. We also had some different mandates from RussMatt this year. I think we were really looking at making sure that very strong Division II and Division III umpires were covered by, umpires that were adequate to handle that level. So I can't 100% speak to how things have always been done, and nor do I really want to, but I will say that considerable time and effort was dedicated to placing umpires, and if that meant that switching from Chain of Lakes to Lake Myrtle from day to day was something that had to be done to get games covered adequately, then that took priority over being able to leave stuff in a locker room all day. So with all of that being said, I want you guys to be able to voice any concerns that you may have to me personally. I was the person most responsible for the schedule. I'm probably the person who has the most knowledge of everything that went on with the schedule and all the decisions that were made. So at the conclusion of this call, the schedule will be published. And until about probably midnight or 1 this evening, Eastern time, if you feel the need or want to pick up the phone and ask any questions, I encourage you to do that. I'm 908-432-4543. And that number is also listed on the bottom of all of the RussMatt emails. So if you have a concern and you feel you need to pick up the phone tonight, please feel free to do so. I'll be around fielding those phone calls. So, and then again tomorrow after about 11 a.m., same thing. If tonight doesn't work for you, you want to call me tomorrow, please feel free to do so. I think one of the things that Chris and Danny and I really believe in is transparency. So if you have questions, I want to give you answers that maybe you don't 100% agree with, but at least you understand where we were coming from or what our thought process was. And that's really important to us, our organization, and this entire process. So keep in mind, if you open up a schedule and you're not happy, take a deep breath, think about it, and then make a phone call. Sometimes phone calls that come with emotion are not the best. And as always, I think from dealing with Danny a lot, we try to be as professional as possible, and we try to deal with you guys with a professional attitude and kind of expect the same. So at this point, I'm concluded with kind of the things I wanted to say about the schedule release. I appreciate you guys taking the time to call in tonight. Again, just 3 reminders again. Tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern, if you are using RussMatt housing, we would like for you to call in. We'll have some different conversations. I know Brian Troop will be a part of that. And, Brian, I will call you tomorrow during the day to talk about some things, so we're prepared for that. And then February 21st, 8 p.m., we will have a mandatory general procedures RussMatt conference call. And then last thing is just be on the lookout if you are not an NCAA test taker, that you're going to have a secondary test from us that we will ask you to pass before we are willing to let you work your schedule. So that's it for this evening, guys, and I wish you all a good night, and the schedules will be published here in a few moments. Thanks for calling in.